know the details. They don't actually necessarily know where. What I've learned is that state representatives candidates champion causes and then abandon them when they get elected. And so what I've done is, instead of just doing a flyer, I do have a flyer, I've written this letter, and I've taken the letter out to people, and it's actually, they've been reading it, and it doesn't matter whether they're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, unanimously people are liking the letter. And so I'm just, do you mind if I take a,
Sure.
Yeah.
So on my letter, I just put that, my name is April Ferguson, I'm running for House of Representatives in your district, Position 1. Would like to introduce a little about myself and my background. I'm 31 years old and I'm a mother of 4 children, ages 7, 5, 3, 1 years old. Who I am. My intention is to earn your trust and confidence and to ask you for your vote come election day. I believe that I am the best candidate for the position because I speak to the experiences and the voice of everyday people while also understanding the proper role of government. The government exists for the people, not the people for the government. I understand that there is no such thing as absolute freedom and that liberty only exists in a society with a shared sense of morality. This means a basic understanding of right and wrong and not a shared religion. Government's purpose, and why I explain that, is because often when you say sense of morality, right, there are people that are in different religions and stuff, they automatically believe that, well, okay, so you're going to be against me because and so what I do is I try to explain that what our founders really meant was morality, where we decide what is wrong and what's right in society, and that's the purpose of creating laws. So when government deprives the individual of liberty, it becomes unlawful itself. Every person has a right to live, to find happiness, and that when government overregulates with unnecessary and burdensome regulations, they take the individual's potential away. Every person's life matters, and that lawmakers, when writing bills, should be responsible because every word that is placed in a law will ultimately affect someone's life. The aforementioned understanding of government and the value of life makes me the qualified and genuine candidate to represent the people of the 23rd above all other possible qualifications. Why I explain that is because often people buy the whole, you're a mom, you have to be, often a lot of young people I've learned when I'm out campaigning believe that you have to have years of experience as a politician in order to represent the people. But that's not what they're actually looking for. When you think of representation, you think of a voice. And the best voice is somebody that can actually relate with the people. Mm-hmm. This understanding is essential for a person to represent the voice of their constituents. A representative works for the people the same as an employee for an employer, but yet in our day we all too often find that our representatives are not available to listen to our criticism, concerns, and grievances, and our ideas for what will work better. The representative's voice should reflect the people of their district and should protect the liberties of those people. My oldest son has autism, and as a mother, I wanted to work in the field that I would make a difference while also staying a dedicated mother. I obtained college education and early childhood education and several other related classes. I opened a business in my home and then eventually moved my business to a large 40-kid child care center. I was successful and part of the local Chamber of Commerce. I paid for college for many of my staff and took great pride in hiring people of diverse backgrounds and added to my team individuals that had disabilities. In 2014, my forward-moving success was altered when a woman who worked for me developed an unprofessional relationship with state licensors. And I go on to explain how they tried to force me to fire individuals with disabilities against my will, and that I decided integrity was worth more than my business and lost my business.
Question about that. You said they were trying to force you to fire? Isn't that against the ADA law of 1977?
Exactly. But the problem is that often these state agencies will interpret other laws. Like, for example, the one they were interpreting is that somebody has the right judgment and good, it's a lot of right judgment and competence to work with children. So then they can say, well, how can the person have the right judgment? They have a disability. And so they can kind of twist the law, and they end up, under the color of law, violating the Disabilities Act. And that's what they did.
Crazy.
So I knew that, so I stood my ground. I said, absolutely not. Not in my business. I will not fire someone with a disability. And I was shut down following that. As a state representative, I will place the liberties and the lives of the people before special interest groups and all motives or agendas. I will be conscious of my decisions and their effect on the people I will swear to represent. I will not haphazardly place my vote where an established party tells me to merely because I am told, but rather I will research the bills and carefully examine it and ask myself 2 questions before I place my support in it. And those 2 questions are, does this defy the proper rule of government? Does this sacrifice individual liberty? And all causes to pass those questions I will consider supporting regardless of who is championing the bill. And I've been explaining this because what that tells someone is it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or independent. I am Republican, but if you're a Democrat and you have something that doesn't sacrifice individual liberty or compromise or defy the proper rule of government, there is no reason why I wouldn't support your bill just because you're a Democrat. And that's one thing I've been learning in the campaign field is that you do not have to drop your values and your platform to work with other people. So I stand strong to the Constitution of the United States as it gives me a clear understanding of the rights of the individual and the rights of the state of Washington to be free from federal control, and all my actions and decisions will be to protect the rights of the individual and the state of Washington. Why I say that is because our state legislators do not do their job. One of their jobs is to protect us from federal mandates. Mm-hmm. Federal mandates are unconstitutional.
And they raised gas tax without the voters' approval.
Mm-hmm. And like all the federal mandates on education and stuff.
Common Core, we need to get rid of it.
Yeah. And we allow our, for example, our budgets and stuff to be affected by those things. It's like all these standardized testing and stuff, they take up our...
Wassel test, you mean?
We spend more money on those things than we need to, and then we turn around and say we don't have enough money to fund education. Well, get rid of the federal mandates and all these federal programs that we're trying to please, and we might be able to fund education better. I can strongly say that I support the right to bear arms, as I believe that it is crucial for free people to be able to protect themselves. This is a right I will never waver on. I strongly believe in the property rights and the right to be secure in our property without government trespass and overburdensome and unnecessary regulations restricting the use of our lands. I strongly believe in a quality justice system. The defense of rights of the individuals in all levels of the courts requires that we have checks and balances placed to prevent corruption within the system. I believe that more checks and balances are necessary to protect the individual's right to representation, and that we need to make sure that we don't just have a right to representation, but that representation is adhering to the ethical standards of the legal profession. Otherwise, that representation becomes rather moot and ineffective to securing the rights of the individuals to a fair legal process. I am for reform of our justice system, and I am for reform taking control from the Washington State Bar Association. I have to be bold to stand on that one. I believe that there's only one way to the Supreme Court, and the only people that can discipline a lawyer is the Supreme Court. But yet the Bar Association stands as a gatekeeper, and because of it, there's just no checks and balances. Lawyers abuse their powers, and they violate their oaths. So I'm for reforming the legal system. I have a personal interest in the protection of those vulnerable adults with special needs and protecting their rights to be able to reach their potentials and to live their life free from discrimination, especially from government. I believe that our ferry system is critical to all our lives in Kitsap County, and that representative of the people should be in continued unwavering efforts to examine, contemplate, and research possibilities on how to better improve the ferry system. I believe that our ferry system needs to operate more like a business, not just sucking in tax dollars, but ran like a business with the expenses being less than the gross income. I believe that we have lots of lost potential in the income in the ferry system from other revenues. I personally will make an effort to champion causes to reduce ferry tolls while finding other ways to bring income and financial support to the ferries that do not cost the taxpayers excessive amounts.
Yeah, about the ferry, it's kind of expensive. I never paid, $20 just from Bremerton to Seattle. So what the hell?
Right. To take one passenger on, and your car now, you're going over $20.
I was like, I had to pay $20 each way. It cost me $40 just to go both in and out.
It's more expensive than rent. So if you work, a lot of Kitsap County residents work in Seattle. And it's more expensive than a lot of people's rent.
I think I want a favor. How about, why don't we just privatize? Thinking about what I see, big government is a failure.
Yeah. We actually used to have privatized ferries. And we decided to trash that, dump them out because there was a few, it needed tweaked rather than disposed of.
I mean, if a private company runs it, they run better. I mean, look at the government. Okay, they can't pay state ferry workers right. So if we privatize it, it'll make more sense. You know, they'll get new orders and done. I'm thinking about why don't we just privatize all public transportation? Because the thing is, the government just wasted.
Yeah, well, also because when you're a business, you have to try to make sure that you make enough revenue. But if you overcharge too much, you also don't want to do that because you will lose your clients. So you're kind of put in that position where you have to find a way to bring down the price.
And people in Spokane shouldn't have to pay for it, right?
True, yeah, because nobody in Spokane is using the ferry, not often enough. I believe that we must protect the fishing industry and not over-regulate our fishermen, as they are crucial to the economy surrounding the Puget Sound. Fishermen over the years have been over-regulated. It's actually at a rise, and it's very crucial to the industry in Kitsap County. So that's an issue that I've been learning about, and I believe that our state representative needs to start showing more interest in. I pledge to protect equal protection of all parents and will be making a focus on reform of family law to be just and to be equal to all parents. A society is only as strong as its families, and therefore a government should establish laws that serve to protect the family unit, not tear it apart. You break society down to its smallest form, and it is the family. Good parenting and healthy homes and relationships with parents is essential to healthy development. And while we can discuss providing quality educations and early learning environments to better children's chances at success, all of these programs are made moot as they are ineffective if we cannot protect the family. We can discuss adequate care for the mentally ill, but rather than just discuss adequate care, why don't we work to prevent mental illness by protecting the family? And by doing that, we are encouraging healthy relationships with parents in order to prevent from spreading this epidemic of mental illness and suicide. Research shows that suicide is far more common from individuals growing up without a father, and yet our society minimizes the important role a father plays in the home when we put men at a disadvantage in custody battles, and our family law system serves to alienate men from their families. I believe reform of family law is in order in protection of family and children's healthy development, and therefore I make this issue the top on my list of goals. I have learned that it does not matter if someone is Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, that about 50% of all people will find some kind of common ground there, and they do not care what party you belong to. I believe across every industry we are affected by unnecessary burdensome regulations, and I have personally learned from public records that agencies such as labor and industries have actual quotas for how many citations their inspectors are to issue per month. I find this disturbing because the only purpose for a regulation is for health and safety of the people. But when there becomes a quota, it becomes apparent that our regulations serve more purposes, and that is to profit off of the individual and businesses. This is an issue across a wide variety of agencies and an issue that plagues us all. In Olympia, I will be responsible representatives of the people and will work to make sure that our laws are clear, concise, and more direct, so that state agencies are not able to misuse their powers and place unnecessary burdensome regulations on the people. Amongst these causes that I will champion are many others, because my largest pursuit is giving the people a voice and protecting their liberties, that we are faced with several challenges in this state across so many issues, and a responsible representative will work on all matters that affect the liberties of their constituents. I, as a representative, will be a safe place to come and a safe place to voice your grievances. And as long as your pursuits do not compromise the liberty of other people or defy the proper role of government, I will champion your cause and see it all the way through, regardless of any barriers that we may have to take down to do so. This is my promise. As a candidate, I would like to gain your trust, respect, and confidence, as these things are crucial to my goal, which is your liberty. I humbly ask for your support, your time, and your vote.
Okay.